€1 million per season at the moment. So that is definitely a good increase in wages for him, and he definitely deserves it. I'm very happy about this. I'm very happy that we're keeping on to our jewels. Bonaventura has been once again a very fundamental player for us all season round, and I've mentioned this so many times this season, but he has been so important of a player to us, always working hard, and I'm glad that he will be staying at a club for even a longer time. Now, moving on to Luis Adriano. Today, the meeting between Adriano's agent and Adriano Galliani took place. Initially, it was supposed to take place yesterday, but there was a postponement, and the meeting was positive. However, what it seems like to be is that Milan won't be getting anything in terms of revenue from this transfer deal. Now, initially, we had mentioned over the course of the past few days that Milan was supposed to get at least 7 million from this deal. Now, it appears to be that with further news coming out, Spartak Moscow could have gave Milan even 6.5 million euros. But now it seems that it will be a free transfer. Luis Adriano will be leaving to Spartak Moscow on a free transfer, and it's just a matter of days. Now, this obviously pisses me off because once again, we let go a player that we bought him for 8 million euros back in 2015. You know, it's not like we kept him for a long time, and it just pisses me off because we could get a little bit of a sum, at least some transfer fee for him, but yet we have to go and concede him for free. You know, I read some comments saying that, well, no one's gonna really purchase him for the type of wages that he makes. And even though I could agree on that fact, why are we always the ones gifting players to other teams and it's never other players gifting players to us? That honestly, really, I just can't make any sense out of it. The same thing happened with Alessandro Matri, if you guys recall, when we purchased him from Juventus for 11 million euros, and then we kept sending him out on loan to different teams around Italy, and in the end, we gave him out on a free transfer to Sassuolo. Now, this is not the type of business that you would like to see at Milan, and once again, I'm really frustrated with us giving Adriano away for free. Now, at the same time, this could be an advantage to Milan, believe it or not, because we will be at least saving on his wages. Now, he makes a lot of wages, and, you know, this is something that I wasn't even aware of. Well, I was aware of, but I really didn't make a case out of it. And many times when you look at the players' wages, when you see that they make 3, 4, 5 million a year on wages, this is after tax. This is the amount they make after tax, and it's not even the gross amount that Milan actually gives to these players. So, for example, Luis Adriano, that still has a 3.5-year contract left at Milan, he's actually making 6 million euros a season rather than 3 million. Well, he is really making 3 million, but Milan is paying him 6. After the tax cut, obviously he is making 3. But Milan would be spending about 20 to 21 million on wages for Luis Adriano, and they will now be saving that money with this transfer. Now, I could see where Milan has to get rid of this player, and these are really important wages if you take a look at it. But at the same time, for some reason, it pisses me off that we have to once again give out players for free, and we can't even manage to get a little bit out of it. I mean, even if we could have got like 3-4 million out of it, I would have personally been happy. You know, we could use that money for Orsolini. So, you know, I was hoping that we would get something out of it. Initially, I was hearing, like many of you were hearing, 7 million euros to Milan, 6 million euros to Milan, but it seems like Milan won't be getting anything this time around for Luis Adriano. But let me know your thoughts about this story in the comments section below. I'll be reading your comments really soon regarding what you guys think about it. Now, the last thing that I wanted to mention is about Fabio Borini. Now, the player, apparently, his agent wants to return to Italy. The player wants to return to Italy, and it seems that Milan and Roma are the two teams that are currently considering to sign him on loan with option to buy. And the agent has actually started contacts with these teams. The teams are not really interested in buying the player right away. What they want is to get him on loan with the option to buy. And at the moment, it seems that Sunderland don't really want to accept this formula. They don't really, they're not really keen on this deal and how it could potentially happen for one of these two Italian teams. Now, Borini, he didn't have much of a great season so far. As a matter of fact, he spent a lot of it out on injury. And, he hasn't played much this season. He only made 5 appearances, scoring 1 goal. And to me, it's just not the type of player that Milan will definitely need at the club to make a difference. Sure, he's a winger, but this guy is probably going to want playing time if he does arrive. And I'm not quite sure if Borini is the right name to bring to Milan to help us on the wings. I would very much go for Bonaventura, Niang, Suso, and if Orsolini comes in, I think we're pretty set on the wings. Borini is not a name that really excites me, guys, to be honest with you. He's not a player that, if he does arrive to the club, I can guarantee success. So definitely not the type of player that I will personally bring into the club. And that is why Milan and even Roma are not interested in buying him right away. They rather bring him in on loan with the option to buy, depending obviously on how he performs. But to me, once again, he's not a player that really excites me. I don't think he's going to make a big difference at Milan. Maybe you guys think otherwise. This is the time to tell me. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about today's news regarding Bonaventura's contract renewal, Luis Adriano's very close departure to Spartak Moscow, and the possibility to acquire Fabio Borini. So let me know all of that. I'll be reading your comment sections, your comments very, very soon. So tell me all what you think about all of these news today in the comment section, guys. Now, Serial Killer says, first Menez for free, now Adriano. The management once again is in shambles. Now, to be honest with you, we did acquire Menez on a free transfer, so I'm not too really pissed about Menez. What I'm pissed about is players like Adriano, Matri, that we bought for a good amount of money. Even Jose Sosa, for that matter. Was it really worth spending all that money on him, knowing that he probably won't be at the club for the long term? I'm not quite sure, but to me, this is bad business from Milan. Sure, we're earning and saving on his wages, but to me, these transfers are pretty horrible, that just proves to show what this management has done in recent years, where we're just buying and selling, getting players on free transfer just for the sake of it, not to use another term. But you could just see the really incompetency of this Milan management recently. Now, Abdul Rahman says, Gio, any news on the news of Donnarumma contract news? It is said that he will earn $5 million a year. Now, no official source has really mentioned this yet in terms of reliable sources. You might have heard that from a secondary source or a third source, but he will definitely earn a big amount if he does get that contract extension at Milan, and I don't think the Chinese will have a problem paying it off, to be honest, but that will be really insane numbers if it does occur. If 5 million euros do go to Donnarumma per year, that is just insane. But at the same time, I wouldn't really blame Raiola and Donnarumma if they're asking for that much. This guy will potentially become the world's next best goalkeeper. It is a lot of money for a youngster. There's still no guarantees about his future, but at the same time, I think that we need to make sure that we hold on to him and really give him what he wants. Now, Cameron says, Ciao Gio, Italian Football TV mentioned their video that Belotti has always been a Milan fan. Do you feel you could possibly sign for us next season? I get this question so many times, guys. It's unbelievable. No, I don't think so, because Torino will try to hold on to him as much as they could. Um, Maybe he could come, maybe he could not come, but I don't think that it's really a possibility at the moment. Um, Now, Aldo Shameti says Bonaventura's renewal is great. He has been one of our greatest players this season. Luis Adriano leaving on a free transfer is mad. We should get some cash from his sale. While for Borini, Milan don't need him. MR Kazim says, so letting Luis go with no fee, that means no bidet. Well, that is once again a big question from you there, MR Kazim, because now that we're not even getting any revenue from Luis Adriano's sale, that could potentially mean no Bidet or anyone for that term, because who else are we supposed to generate revenue from? Now, we are saving on his wages, but once again, this is not money that will be reinvested in the transfer market. This will probably go towards wages to free up some space there. So at the same time, like you said, I'm not quite sure if we're going to go for Bidet or anyone else at the moment, because we're not getting any money from Luis Adriano. It will be interesting to see what the Chinese maybe could put at their disposal. Will they be giving Milan some amount of money to work with in the next few weeks? We all have to see, wait and see to see what happens with that. Now, so I'm going to read some more questions from you guys. Sarana Matt says 5 million for an 18-year-old lad. Well, like you said there, it is quite surprising figures if Donnarumma's contract does renew with that price tag. But at the same time, I wouldn't worry about that too much. It most likely won't occur in January. This contract renewal will probably occur once the Chinese takeover is completed sometime in March. So right now, I wouldn't focus too much on this, but more with the other players that we are currently working on extending their contracts. But speaking about Donnarumma, now those 5 million could be once again gross, and they could be only 2.5 after tax. Also, as we all know, Raiola is a very, very greedy player agent, and when he's asking for a lot of money for his player, I can almost guarantee you that he's going to take a big cut out of it, just because that's his character and that's how he is. So, this guy has made a lot of money just on players for his own sake, for his own pleasure. He wants to have as much money as possible. He's going to ask for crazy deals from clubs just so that you can make a good cut of it. So this all goes down to his agent. I'm pretty sure Donnarumma will even be happy with 2 million a year for that matter. But that's what his agent wants. So we'll see what happens with that. No, the new logo is not official. It's just a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you. Now Geek 101 says the wings are pretty good. It's a striker that we really need. Adriano's crap, back as a statue, and Lapadula isn't quite the caliber of striker we need. You think Pavoletti could come to Milan? No, he's pretty much gonna sign with Napoli, so I don't think he's gonna come to Milan. So that will be an option out of the park. But I do agree with you, we're definitely gonna need a better striker. Like I said endless times, Bacca could most likely leave maybe in the summer, and if we do sell him, we're gonna have to get a new striker. Simply because, certain people are actually suggesting of Bacca and Niang as the strikers. Well, to me, that just doesn't give me the certainty, especially if we sell Bacca. If we go with Niang and Lapadula in that striker position, to me, that is not enough. We're not going to win anything. We're not going to go in the Champions League and win games there. We need a world-class striker if we're going to get one. And to me, those names are just not enough for me. Like you've said, Pavoletti is not going to be an option for us. But if we do sell Bacca, it won't happen this winter. But if we do sell him in the summer, then I want a big striker to come at Milan. Now, Big MCX says, I saw something in the news that the Chinese wanted to invest 50 million this transfer window, but Fininvest didn't want that. Now, I mentioned about this last week already. like I said, guys, if I don't report it, it means that it's not coming from reliable sources such as Sky, Gazzetta, and so forth. This is probably news you read from some other source that is not reliable enough, and that is why I'm not mentioning anything about it. If there's anything reliable, if anything accurate does pop out of those news, I will be the first one to mention it on the channel. But this is not true. These are just rumors there about the 50 million being invested in this transfer window. No, there are no news on Fabregas. For those of you that are asking. MR Kazim says, I don't think we need a striker, we need midfielders. Well, I'm not saying that we need a striker specifically at this point in the season, but maybe in the future we will need another striker. Like I said, if we get rid of Baka in the summer, we will need another striker. But yes, I do agree with you. We need midfielders at this point of the season. Players that will be allowed and capable, really, of playing good to their potential and helping the team. These are the types of midfielders that we need at this team. And also to increase the bench, you know, like someone mentioned a few days ago, we do have some options on the bench to come on, but very few. We need reliable options. We need a strong bench if we want to compete on different levels. Abdul says, Gio, if Orsolini comes to Milan, do you think we will push for a winger like Keita or El Ghazi in the summer? Where Orsolini is already a winger, he's going to be Suso's backup if he does arrive. Keita and El Ghazi are definitely players that interest Milan. Well, at least El Ghazi was a player that Milan was interested in the past. Not too sure about the Chinese's interest in this player, but I could confirm with you that Milan is looking at Keita from Lazio. He's one of those players that Milan is currently interested in, but it won't happen this winter. If someone's gonna get him, it will be in the summer. Are there any teams interested in Honda? Electrical Drift says, yes, I didn't mention that yesterday. Apparently, there are some sources saying that LA Galaxy, Seattle Sounders, and Sunderland are all interested in Honda, but we'll see what happens this winter. Giuliano Lapadula says, I think if we got the money in the summer, Milan will sign Belotti. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a big topic of discussion when the time comes in the summer. But like I said, guys, let's take it a step at a time. Let's see what happens in the winter first. Then we can focus on that big transfer window that the summer will, or at least is supposed to bring to us. Ruthwick says, I've read that after the takeover, the Chinese will be spending 300 million euros on the youth academies in China. How would this affect us with Chinese players come into Milan? Now, this is a very good question, Ruthwick, and it's actually something that I wanted to speak about in this video. I've read these news as well, and I could confirm to you that they are actually very true news. Now, SES wants to invest 300 million on these youth academies in China, and I've also read that they will be bringing in selected Chinese players, youth players, to train in Italy. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that these players will be signing for Milan. What this means is that they're trying to invest in youth. They're trying to exploit China's youth, and obviously they don't have a very good youth system in terms of culture there. So what they're trying to do is establish these academies and try to develop youth players with good staff, good coaches that could potentially bring them higher prestige, I guess, in China's national team. That is what they're trying to do in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but technically what they're trying to do is just use these youth players, try to make them better using probably Milan staff that will be situated in China in order to develop these players properly, that they could maybe play in Europe in the long run or could be of assets to the China national team. Hopefully that makes all sense there. Gio, is it true that Fiorentina won 15 million on Bade? Yes, I could confirm that, but I would probably go around 12 to 15 million is what they're looking at. Andrea Rossi says we are going to buy now Orsolini on the last day of the market, like the 30th or the 31st of January. Be careful for Rodrigo Caio. Now, Rodrigo Caio is a defender that, if you guys still don't know, he was of interest to us in the summer, but we just didn't have the money to get him. Once again, we don't have the money to get him this January, but anything is possible if we manage to somehow get some funds from the Chinese this winter mercato. If the Chinese are willing to invest for certain reasons, then that will be, of course, an advantage to us. But right now, there is no transfer budget. The Chinese have mentioned it themselves several times that there will be no transfer budget whatsoever for the winter mercato, and that possible signings will depend on revenue that they gather from sales. Abdul Rahman says, Gio, is there any possibility that the Chinese deal will be called off? Well, to be honest with you, obviously there's a possibility since the final closing still didn't occur. But to me, if someone invests 200 million euros into something and then backs out of it, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be too much of a possibility, too realistic. Like, would you invest 200 million if you had that in something and then back out of it or just forget about it? I don't think that's very possible. This will happen in March. All the parties are pretty much at an agreement, and I think in March it will finally be the time to close this deal once and for all. Is Niang no longer our first winger, says Yad Stan. Well, Niang was given the opportunities throughout the season to do well, and he did have a good start at the beginning of the season, but I think Montella sees it the way that I do. Bonaventura is more of a suited player for that winger position. He has been more reliable, he has been getting the results, he has been performing well, unlike Niang in recent times. So to me, obviously, he is not the first choice winger at this moment. Hassan says, hi Gio, love your channel. How good is Orsolini? Will he get some game time at Milan? Very, very good question there, Hassan. Yes, he will be getting some game time at Milan because what I've read is that Galliani has actually promised his agent that he will be seeing a lot of game time. I don't know about a lot, but he will be getting playing time for sure at Milan if he does arrive. And this is obviously a big point of discussion when it comes to deciding which team to go to, especially for a young player. Now, many players could be attracted by the price tags, the wages that teams offer them, but to be honest with you, if I was a young player that was being asked to join either Milan or any other top team, I would want to make sure that I'm getting playing time as well. I'm not only going to the club for the money, but I want to get some playing time as well. I want to make sure that I'm not putting my youth years at forfeit. I'm not going to lose my youth years for nothing to just sit on the bench. Sure, the wages are good, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I do get some playing time. And apparently, it seems to be that Galliani has exactly promised this to his agent. If Orsolini does arrive, he will be getting playing time. So we'll see what happens with that. But once again, it is a certainty that any young player needs when they join a club. They need to make sure that they will be getting some playing time and not just be there for the money. Serial Killer says, what do you think of William Carvalho from Sporting? Do you think he will be a great signing? Interesting player, but once again, won't happen right now. Math3G says, what do you think is the number one position we need to fix in the transfer window? Definitely the midfield. I said this many times. We're pretty set up in the defense. Goalkeeper, we obviously know how good we are in that department. But in the midfield is where the major worries come to me. We have Locatelli, a guy that's playing for his first season at Milan. He's been starting games on a consistent basis. How much longer could he keep this up for in this season? I simply don't know. Then we got Kuchka, that is almost a certainty playing on that right side. On the left side, you know, we have Bonaventura, but he's being preferred as a winger than anything else at the moment. And in my opinion, we don't have much depth on the bench for this position, for midfield. Sure, we have Matty Fernandez, we have Jose Sosa, we have other players, Montolivo that's injured, but to me, these are not really players that are going to win you championships. These are not players that are going to bring you far in competitions like the Champions League. Sure, they could add to the experience that they have, especially players like Matty Fernandez. They bring a lot of experience to the team, knowing more about the league and so forth. But to me, we need certainties in that midfield. We need playmakers. We need players that are capable of bringing true performances, the maximum of their potentials, that will pretty much deliver the results that Milan needs on a consistent basis, on a weekly basis, whatever you want to call it. And right now, we don't have these players in the midfield. We have a couple, but we need more. So what we need to do is clean up some of the dead weight that we still appear to have, and we still appear to sign prior to this Chinese takeover. Just like Jose Sosa and Matty Fernandez. To me, Jose Sosa wasn't a good purchase, but we'll soon find out if he's more reliable or not, if he gets more playing time. But what we need to do is clean up these types of players that won't really be at the team long term. Let's be honest with ourselves. Do you guys see Jose Sosa staying at the club 3-4 years from now? I personally don't. So we need to get rid of these types of players and bring in fresh, not necessarily young, but we need established players that will give us the results that we need. Some more questions before I do sign off. Serial Killer says, why doesn't Milan scout countries like Brazil? They can get very cheap talents with great potential. What do you think? I'm pretty sure they have scouts in South America, guys. Let's be honest with ourselves. We have seen interest in South America, such as Vanjoni, Rodrigo Caio in Brazil. I mean, there are scouts in South America. I just think that Milan right now, at this moment, they want to focus more on Italians. Let's be honest. Like, we have seen it many times. In recent transfer windows even, you know, it seems like they want to focus on Italians, and to me it appears to be that every player we are almost going for is either Italian or plays in the Serie A at the moment. So we'll see what the tendency with that really is, but we definitely do have scouts in South America that are looking at players. Maybe one last question before I sign off. Bia XO1111. Do you think that Bertolacci is gonna be useless in the future? I think Bertolacci, you know, he's a player that Montella is slowly trying to integrate once again in the team. I don't know if he's gonna be useless, but if we do get some top midfielders, then he probably won't be getting much playing time at Milan, and this could be a possibility this coming summer. If the Chinese do make some big important signings in that midfield, players like Matty Fernandez, Bertolacci, Jose Sosa simply won't be getting much playing time, or simply won't be at the team anymore. So that is my take on Bertolacci. I think a lot of this will be answered this coming summer, because right now, you know, we are still thinking a lot based on the players that we currently have. But once we do get other players, better players, Bertolacci and all those other players, I don't think we'll be getting much playing time at Milan, and it will probably get ridden of in the summer. So we'll see what happens. But to me, at this moment, not much will be done this winter, and we should be expecting more in the summer. Aldo says, are you doing another live stream tomorrow, Gio? And I guess this is the opportunity to tell you guys that yes, once again, for all of you guys that are still new to these live streams, I will be doing these live streams on a daily basis, same time, every day, for you guys to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan on a daily basis. And on that note, please guys, subscribe to the channel, It really helps a lot. We are pretty close to 11,000 subscribers. If you guys haven't yet subscribed and you're a Milanista, I simply don't know what you're waiting for. This is the channel for AC Milan fans. Everything you need is right here on the channel. If you want to take it from a fan's perspective, your opportunity to discuss with other fans about Milan news and so forth, this is the only channel on YouTube that does it. So make sure to subscribe. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for yet another live stream. This has been Gio signing off, and as always, Forza Milan!